Most seniors who are trying to lose weight are doing everything they were told, eating less, walking more, taking their vitamins every day. And yet, the scale barely moves. The belly stays soft, the energy stays low. I want to tell you something today that changes all of that. And it has nothing to do with a new diet, a new exercise program, or a new supplement. It has to do with when you take a vitamin you are probably already taking. One specific vitamin, one specific window of time. And when you get those two things right, your body stops storing fat and starts burning it, even while you are sitting in a chair. The research on this is real. Published studies, clinical trials, numbers that made researchers stop and look twice. And almost no one is talking about it. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why your body has been holding on to that extra weight, and the single shift that can change it, starting this week. But before we get into it, drop a comment right now. Tell me one word, mornings or evenings. That is when you currently take your vitamins. I want to know. We will come back to that at the end. Margaret was 71 years old, retired school teacher from a small town in Ohio. Smart woman, sharp mind. Decades in the classroom meant she had discipline most people half her age could not match. She ate carefully. She walked 30 to 45 minutes every morning without fail, rain or shine, even on the days her knees ached. She took her vitamins, including vitamin D, every single morning with her breakfast, the way her doctor told her to do it. And for 3 years, she could not lose more than 2 pounds. She would lose 2, gain 3 back, lose 2 again. An exhausting cycle that made her feel like her body was working against her. She told her daughter, "I do everything right and nothing changes. I think this is just what 71 looks like." She was wrong. Her body was not broken. Her timing was. I'm going to explain exactly what was happening inside Margaret and what is likely happening inside you right now. The silent deficiency. Most seniors never suspect. Here is something that surprises almost everyone when they first hear it. Over 40% of all American adults are deficient in vitamin D. But among adults over 65, that number climbs even higher. Now, most people know vitamin D as the sunshine vitamin. You get it from sunlight, from fatty fish, from fortified milk. And they think, I take my supplement, I am fine. But here is what almost no one tells you. Taking vitamin D is not enough. When you take it, changes everything your body does with it. And for most seniors, the timing they were taught, morning with breakfast, is the exact timing that is leaving the biggest benefit sitting on the table, unused. Let me explain what I mean in plain terms. What vitamin D actually does to fat. Your body has billions of fat cells. Think of them like tiny storage bags scattered throughout your belly, your hips, your thighs. These fat cells have one job, store energy. And they do that job extremely well. But here's the part nobody explains. Those fat cells have tiny receptors on them, like little locks. And vitamin D is the key that fits those locks. When vitamin D is at the right level in your blood, it sends a signal to those fat cells. Stop storing, start releasing. When vitamin D is too low, those locks stay shut. The storage bags stay full. Your body keeps packing away everything you eat, even if you are eating well. Now, a 2024 study found something remarkable. Researchers discovered that when vitamin D levels in the blood were raised, participants gained more lean muscle and lost more body fat, without changing a single thing about their diet or exercise routine. Same food, same activity. More vitamin D in the blood, more fat burned. That is not a small finding. That is the kind of result that should be on every senior's radar. But there is more, and this is where it gets really important. The fat burning window nobody told you about. Your body burns fat most aggressively during 2 windows of the day. The first is while you are asleep, the overnight hours when your body is in repair mode, running on stored fuel because you have not eaten in hours. The second is in the late morning, roughly 2 to 3 hours after you wake up, when your natural cortisol, your body's wake-up hormone, begins to taper off and your metabolism peaks. Both of these windows are fat-burning windows, and vitamin D plays a direct role in how efficiently your body burns during both of them. Here is the problem. Vitamin D is what is called a fat-soluble vitamin. That means it dissolves in fat, not in water. Think of it like this. If you try to mix olive oil into plain water, it just floats on top. It never blends in. The same thing happens when you take vitamin D without enough fat present. Your body absorbs far less of it than it should. Now, most seniors take their vitamin D at breakfast, and many of those breakfasts are light. Toast, oatmeal, fruit, maybe a small yogurt. Very little fat. So the vitamin D you swallowed is poorly absorbed. A large portion of it passes right through your system before your body can use it. And the fraction that does get absorbed? By the time your body's fat-burning window opens, the vitamin D level in your blood is already declining. It peaked at the wrong time. It missed the window. What happens when you shift the timing? Now let's talk about what happens when you make one small change. Several studies have looked at what happens when vitamin D is taken in the evening, specifically with dinner, which for most seniors contains more fat than breakfast. olive oil on vegetables, a piece of salmon, an avocado, some nuts. When vitamin D is taken with a fat-containing meal, absorption increases significantly. Your gut has more to work with. The vitamin dissolves properly. More of it enters your bloodstream. And here is the timing piece that makes this so powerful for fat burning specifically. When you take vitamin D in the evening, it is rising in your blood during the overnight hours, right when your body is running on stored fuel. It peaks in your system during that first fat-burning window we talked about, overnight and into the early morning. The receptors on your fat cells get the signal at the exact moment your body is primed to act on it. Instead of fat cells locked shut, they open. The stored energy begins to flow. Your metabolism runs hotter through the night, and you wake up having burned more fuel than you would have if you had taken the same vitamin at 8 in the morning. Same vitamin, same dose, different time, different result. The research behind this. Let me walk you through the science in plain terms. No jargon, no complex charts. A large meta-analysis published in the journal Frontiers in Nutrition, which means it reviewed the results of multiple studies together, looked at people who were overweight or obese and who added vitamin D to an exercise and lifestyle routine. The results were clear. When vitamin D levels were raised through supplementation, participants showed significantly greater reductions in waist circumference, body weight, and BMI compared to those who exercised without vitamin D. And the effect was especially strong, the study's own words, in older adults. Another study published in the journal Nutrients in 2025 found that higher vitamin D intake was directly linked to more lean muscle mass, less total body fat, less belly fat specifically, and lower body weight at 12-month follow-up. These are not tiny differences. The people with higher vitamin D had measurably more muscle, measurably less fat, and a measurably better muscle-to-fat ratio. And perhaps the most stunning piece of research, a nationwide 4-year clinical trial tracking over 1,000 adults over 50 found that daily vitamin D supplementation reduced biological aging, the actual wear on your cells, by the equivalent of nearly 3 years. 3 years of biological aging, reversed, by a vitamin that millions of seniors are already taking, just not at the right time. Why walking 10,000 steps is not enough on its own. Now I want to address the elephant in the room, because the title of this video makes a bold claim, and you deserve a straight explanation. 10,000 steps a day, roughly 5 miles of walking, burns somewhere between 300 and 500 calories for most seniors, depending on body weight and pace. That is meaningful. Walking is genuinely good for you, and I am not going to tell you to stop. But here is what the research tells us about exercise alone for seniors trying to lose fat. After the age of 60, the body becomes significantly better at adapting to exercise. That sounds like a good thing, but for fat loss, it is actually a challenge. Your metabolism compensates. You burn a little here, you become slightly less active there. The body is incredibly efficient at defending its fat stores. The research on vitamin D and fat burning works through a completely different mechanism. It does not depend on how much you move. It does not depend on willpower or calorie counting. It works at the cellular level, at those tiny locks on your fat cells, and it turns on the signal to release stored energy even while you are at rest, even while you are sleeping. That is why the timing fix we are talking about today can produce changes in body composition that walking alone cannot produce in someone who is already deficient. Walking and vitamin D timing together? That combination is genuinely powerful. But the timing piece is the one most seniors are missing, and it is free. What deficiency looks like, and why you may not know you are deficient. Here is the frustrating part about vitamin D deficiency. It does not announce itself loudly. You do not get a rash. You do not get a sharp pain. You do not wake up one morning and know that your vitamin D is low. What you do get is a list of symptoms that every senior is told to expect just because they are getting older. Fatigue that does not go away no matter how much you rest. Muscle weakness that makes getting up from a chair harder than it used to be. Stubborn weight around the belly that does not budge even when you are eating carefully. Low mood, brain fog, poor sleep. Every single one of those things is associated with vitamin D deficiency. Every single one is also dismissed as just aging. Margaret had all of them. She had been to her doctor twice in the previous year. Her doctor looked at her and said everything looked fine for her age. Nobody ordered a vitamin D test. Her vitamin D level was 18 nanograms per milliliter. The minimum healthy level is 30. Most researchers now say optimal is between 40 and 60. She was running her entire body, her metabolism, her immune system, her muscles, her mood, on less than half of what she needed. And she was taking her supplement every morning, just not absorbing it the way her body needed to. The 4 things that make vitamin D deficiency worse in seniors. Before I tell you exactly what to do, I want you to understand why this is so much more common after 60. Because once you understand the why, the solution makes complete sense. First, skin changes with age. Your skin is one of the ways your body makes vitamin D from sunlight. But after 60, the skin becomes significantly less efficient at this process. A 70-year-old standing in the same amount of sunlight as a 30-year-old produces up to 75% less vitamin D from that exposure. The sun has not changed, the body has. Second, less time outdoors. Many seniors spend more time indoors, in homes, in cars, in assisted living facilities, than they did in earlier decades. Less sun exposure means less natural production. Third, body fat traps vitamin D. This is one of the more ironic findings in all of nutrition science. Vitamin D is fat-soluble, remember? That means it gets stored in fat tissue. And when someone carries extra body fat, vitamin D gets absorbed into those fat stores and held there, like a sponge. It disappears from the blood where your body needs it most. So the people who most need vitamin D to help with fat burning are the very people whose bodies are hiding the most vitamin D away in their fat cells, making it unavailable. Fourth, gut absorption declines. As we age, the gut becomes less efficient at absorbing fat-soluble nutrients. This is another reason why the fat you eat with your vitamin D matters so much. Your gut needs all the help it can get to pull the vitamin out of the supplement and into your bloodstream. These four things stack on top of each other. They work together. And they explain why a 70-year-old who takes their vitamin D every morning with oatmeal can still be significantly deficient. Back to Margaret. Margaret's daughter, who had been watching her mother struggle for 3 years, came across research on fat-soluble vitamin timing. She brought it to her mother. They made 2 changes, just 2. They moved Margaret's vitamin D from breakfast to dinner, and they made sure dinner always had some healthy fat in it. Olive oil on her vegetables, a small handful of walnuts, half an avocado a few nights a week. No new supplement, no new medication, no new diet, no increase in her walking. Same vitamin, same dose. Different time, different meal. Within 2 weeks, Margaret noticed something she had not felt in years. She was sleeping more deeply. She was waking up with more energy. The morning heaviness in her legs, which she had always blamed on her age, was lighter. By 6 weeks, her daughter noticed it before Margaret said a word. Her face looked different, less puffy, more defined around the jaw. The belly she had been fighting for 3 years had visibly softened. At her 8-week doctor's visit, her vitamin D level had risen from 18 to 41. Her doctor asked what she had changed. She said, "I moved when I take my vitamin. That is all." Her doctor looked at her chart, then looked at her, then said the same thing Henry's daughter heard. "Why didn't we think of this sooner?" Let me walk you through this step by step. No guessing, no confusion. Step 1. Find out where your vitamin D level actually is. Ask your doctor for a 25-hydroxy-vitamin D blood test. This is a standard test, covered by most insurance, and it gives you the number you need. If your level is below 30 nanograms per milliliter, you are deficient by clinical standards. If it is between 30 and 40, you are low normal. If it is between 40 and 60, that is where most researchers agree the benefits, including fat-burning support, are most active. Do not assume your level is fine just because you are taking a supplement. Step 2. Move your vitamin D to dinner time. Evening, with your main meal of the day, is the timing that best aligns with your body's overnight fat-burning window. If you take other fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin K, vitamin A, vitamin E, move those at the same time. They all absorb better with fat. Step 3. Make sure your dinner contains healthy fat. You do not need much. A drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, a few nuts, half an avocado, a piece of salmon. These fats give your gut the vehicle it needs to absorb the vitamin properly. This is not about eating more. It is about making sure fat is present so the vitamin dissolves and gets carried into your bloodstream instead of passing through unused. Step 4. Be consistent for at least 4 weeks. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, which means it builds up gradually in your blood. You will not feel a dramatic change overnight, but within 2 to 4 weeks of consistent evening dosing with a fat-containing meal, most people begin to notice changes in energy, sleep quality, and, for many, a noticeable shift in how their body feels around the midsection. Step 5. Recheck your level at 3 months. Ask your doctor to recheck your 25-hydroxy-vitamin D level at the 3-month mark. This gives your supplementation routine time to stabilize and gives you a real number to work with, not guesswork. What about dosage? This is the one piece I'm going to ask you to discuss with your doctor before making any change, because the right amount is different for every person. What I can tell you is that most adults in the United States take vitamin D3 supplements in doses between 1,000 and 2,000 IU per day, and a 2014 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition used 2,000 IU per day in postmenopausal overweight women and found meaningful improvements in body composition in those whose levels became sufficient. The research on fat loss and body composition benefits has generally found more significant effects at doses that achieve blood levels of 40 nanograms per milliliter or higher. But more is not always better. Very high doses of vitamin D taken without supervision can cause problems. So, get tested first, talk to your doctor about your specific number, and let that conversation guide your dose. The timing fix, evening with healthy fat, is safe for everyone and costs nothing extra. The dose question is the one that belongs in a conversation with your doctor. One more thing about the bigger picture. I want to be honest with you about something. Vitamin D timing is not a magic bullet. It is not going to replace sleep, stress management, or eating real food. Nothing will. But here is what it is. It is a lever. A lever that most seniors are not pulling. A lever that, when you pull it, makes every other healthy habit work better. When your vitamin D is at a healthy level, absorbed properly at the right time of day, your muscles respond better to movement. Your metabolism runs at a higher baseline. Your sleep deepens, and deep sleep is when your body does the majority of its fat-burning work. Your energy improves, which means you move more naturally throughout the day, not because you are forcing yourself to hit a step count, but because you actually feel like it. Everything connects. Margaret did not become a different person. She did not overhaul her life. She moved one vitamin from 8 in the morning to 7 in the evening and drizzled olive oil on her broccoli. That was it. And 3 years of frustration started to unwind in 6 weeks. Before you go, here is what I want you to do right now, before you close this video. Write down, on paper, on your phone, on a sticky note on the fridge, this question to ask at your next doctor's appointment. Can we check my vitamin D level? I want to know my actual number, not just whether it is in the normal range. That one question changes the entire conversation. Most doctors will say yes immediately. And when you get that number, you will know whether the timing fix we talked about today is urgent for you, or whether you are already in a good place. Then, tonight with dinner, move your vitamin D from wherever it sits right now to the dinner table. That is your first step, just that. And come back to the comments right now. Remember what I asked at the start, mornings or evenings? Tell me which one you picked, and if you've already made the switch, tell me what changed. Your comment is the first thing the next viewer sees when they are trying to decide whether to watch. One comment from you could be the nudge that changes everything for someone sitting exactly where you were sitting before you press play. Hit the like button if anything in this video surprised you. Subscribe if you want the next one, because the next video covers what you eat at dinner that determines whether tonight's vitamin D gets absorbed fully or mostly wasted. That is the piece that completes this. I will see you there.